My sister asked me to take care of her daughter for 2 weeks, and then she vanished for years. I always thought I knew my sister. She was one of those unpredictable people. Yes, but with a huge heart. The kind who forgot important dates, but would surprise you with a handwritten letter on a random Tuesday afternoon. We hadn't lived together in years, but when she showed up, she brought with her a kind of sweet chaos that lit up the house for a few days. That's why I didn't hesitate when she asked me. Just 2 weeks. I have to take care of some paperwork in another state. It's personal stuff, but you know how my life is. She arrived that morning with her 6-year-old daughter. A backpack, a box of toys, a folder with documents, and a kiss on my forehead. Thank you for doing this for me. You have no idea how much it means. Of course, sis. But tell me, are you okay? You don't look like yourself. Just tired, but everything will be fine. I believed her. Because I always believed her. And because I wanted to believe. Her daughter, Martina, was a little ray of sunshine. Calm, polite. Very much like her mother used to be as a child. She warmed up to me, quickly. We played, we cooked. I read her bedtime stories at night. It all felt like a tiny, unexpected bubble of tenderness. Until the 2 weeks passed. Then 3. Then a month. I called. I texted. I emailed. Nothing. I thought something terrible had happened. I went to the police, to the hospital, even to her old job. They looked at me with pity or disbelief. No one knew anything. She left no notes, no explanations, just her daughter. And silence. A silence that grew darker and darker. The first few months, I lived on autopilot. I became a mother without asking for it, without planning it, without being prepared. Martina needed me, and I didn't have the time to sit and cry or to ask myself how we ended up here. I got her up. I dressed her. I took her to preschool. I braided her hair, made her meals, made up songs so she wouldn't miss her mom too much. Because she missed her, and she asked about her every night. When is Mommy coming back? At first I said, soon. Then, I just held her. I tried reporting the disappearance, but they told me that since she was an adult and had left voluntarily, there wasn't much they could do. There were no signs of violence. Nothing illegal about temporarily leaving her daughter with a relative. No body. No crime. Just absence. An absence that screamed. I went to her old apartment. It was empty. Clean like someone had erased every trace. The neighbors said they hadn't seen her much in months. That sometimes she left late, wearing dark sunglasses. That once they heard an argument. But nothing more. One night, while going through the toy box she had left behind, I found something I hadn't noticed before. A sealed envelope, taped under a false bottom. Inside was a letter, written in her handwriting, addressed to me. If you're reading this, it means something went wrong. Don't ask anyone. Take care of Martina. And above all, don't believe the first thing they tell you. No date. No signature. My skin crawled. What had gone wrong? What was she running from? Who was she afraid of? I started retracing her life, like a detective. I called old friends, former college classmates, even Martina's father, whom I hadn't seen in years. It took me a while to find his number. When I finally did, he answered coldly. I don't know anything about her. Leave me out of it. She's your daughter, I said. I signed off my rights. That's what she asked for from the start. And now you should respect that too. You don't care. He hung up, without answering. That call was a slap in the face. I felt something was terribly wrong. Like every puzzle piece I tried to place, only led to more questions. Martina, meanwhile, kept growing. She was adapting the way kids do. But now and then she'd ask me, what if Mommy doesn't love me anymore? Those words broke me. I didn't know what to say. One day, I went to the bank, trying to close some old accounts she had opened when she lived with me for a while. They said they couldn't give me access, but one of the accounts had recent activity. Recent? Yes. Cash withdrawal. 2 weeks ago. Downtown branch. I froze. She was alive. Somewhere out there. And closer than I ever imagined. I came home, with my head spinning. A recent cash withdrawal. Downtown. It was impossible not to think the obvious. My sister was alive. Not just alive, but here in the same city. Hiding. Maybe watching us. And that completely threw me off. I started going downtown every day after dropping Martina off at school. I walked block after block, scanning faces, stepping into cafes, pharmacies, grocery stores, as if, in some absurd twist of fate, I might suddenly run into her. I didn't find her, but I found someone else. A man, about 40. He was watching me from a table in a downtown coffee shop. He had a newspaper in his hands, but he wasn't reading. He was watching me, and when I noticed, he quickly looked away. The next day, he was there again. Same table, and the day after that, too. I approached him. Do we know each other? He looked at me with that mix of surprise and resignation. The look of someone who knows there's no escaping the truth. You shouldn't be asking questions, he said. Who are you? Just someone who's looking out for you. Looking out from what? From her. From my sister? She's not who you think she is. I walked away. Fear crept into my body like a virus. I called a friend of mine who's a cop. Told her everything. Asked for help. She said she couldn't do anything officially, but she put me in contact with someone in private investigations. That same week, the investigators showed me a preliminary report. There was a history. My sister, apparently, had several identities. She had rented apartments under different names. She had 2 expired passports, and 1 active one under a false last name. And there was a warrant for her arrest in another province for financial fraud. I froze. Is this real? It's official. Not recent. But no one's been looking for her because there were no active cases. And because she vanished. Why didn't anyone ever tell me? Maybe they didn't know you existed. Or maybe she made sure to keep you out of it. I felt like my whole body was falling apart. My sister. My confidant. The mother of the little girl who slept each night in the room next door. Had built her life on lies. And she'd left it all with me. Like a burden. Like a goodbye. Or worse, like a hiding place. That night, as I tucked Martina into bed, I couldn't stop looking at her. So small. So fragile. So unaware of it all. None of it was her fault. And I didn't have the right to keep lying to her anymore. Martina, I said, sitting on her bed. Can I ask you something? Yes. Did your mommy ever talk to you about me? Yes. She said you were the best sister in the world. Did she ever ask you not to talk about something? She went quiet, then whispered. She said that if one day you got a letter from me, not to read it with anyone else. You have a letter? She nodded, got up, ran to her old backpack, pulled out a piece of paper, folded many times. It was a handwritten note in blue ink. Martina, if this reaches you, it means things got complicated. Your aunt doesn't know the whole truth, and I can't risk her finding out. But always remember, you are the only thing I ever did right. Don't let anyone take that from you. I couldn't breathe. That letter didn't answer anything, but somehow it said everything. I could no longer pretend this was just a disappearance. It was much more than that. My sister hadn't gone missing. She had gone into hiding, and she had hidden us along with her. Martina wasn't just a little girl left behind by a mother in trouble. She was a piece in a story I was only beginning to understand. But if there was one thing I knew for sure, it was this. I was no longer going to let silence define us. I made decisions. I went to a family lawyer, told him everything, left nothing out, showed him the letter, the investigator's report, the folder I had found months earlier. He explained that I could start a legal process to gain guardianship of Martina, and if her mother never returned, I could eventually adopt her. But there was a risk. If the authorities detected that the child was part of a situation linked, even indirectly, to criminal activity, they could step in, even separate us. That word chilled me. Separate. What if someone comes for her? What if they try to take her? It depends on how you proceed. But if you're acting transparently, and it's clear this child is being cared for with love and stability, it'll be hard for anyone to question that. That same day, I started the paperwork. Martina didn't fully understand, but she knew something was changing. I explained what I could, using gentle words. I told her we were making sure everything was in order. That no one was going to take her away from me. That she was going to be okay. What if Mommy comes back? She asked, her voice trembling. If she comes back, we'll face her together. Like a family. Meanwhile, the investigation into my sister continued through other channels. The private investigator called me one afternoon. Your sister is in another country. She used one of the fake passports. Entered 4 months ago. There's no international warrant, but if she returns to national territory, she can be arrested. Does she know we're looking for her? Most likely. But I don't think she's coming back. I felt a mix of rage and relief. I didn't want to see her, but I needed answers. Not long after, I received a letter. No sender. No stamp. Someone had left it at my door. It was her handwriting. I can't come back. Not yet. Not with everything the way it is. But I never stopped watching over you. Never stopped loving you both. I left Martina with you because I knew she'd be safe. I'm not a good sister. But you were a good mother to her. Thank you for not hating me. I tore it into 1,000 pieces. Not because I hated her, but because I no longer needed her words. I had done my part. Held a child, a family, an entire story, with the trembling hands of someone who never wanted to be a hero, but had no choice. Martina would call me Mom in her sleep sometimes. Sometimes she'd correct herself. Sometimes she wouldn't, and I didn't correct her either. My name, at the end of the day, didn't matter so much anymore. What mattered was what we did with what we'd been left with. And we were building a home. Today, Martina turns 10. I watch her blow out the candles with her eyes closed. So sure of her wish. That for a moment, I want to believe none of it ever happened. That there was no abandonment, no lies, no nights filled with tears. That it was always like this. Just her and me together. Celebrating her life with the certainty that nothing will ever tear us apart. But the truth is it did happen. And we still carry it every day. There are moments when I see her lost in thought. Quiet. And I know she's remembering her mother. She doesn't talk about her. She doesn't ask anymore. But she remembers. Because absence leaves a mark too. And sometimes, those who are gone, weigh heavier than the ones standing right next to you. I remember her too. Sometimes with anger. Other times with sadness. And sometimes with a nostalgia so confusing that I find myself wondering if, somewhere in her soul, my sister still believes she can come back and rebuild what she broke. I don't know what will happen if she ever tries. I don't know if I'll have the strength to forgive her, or if Martina will even recognize her. But I do know one thing. What we have now is real. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't fair. It wasn't planned. But it's what we made with what we were left. I learned to be a mother without ever wishing to be one. To get up when I didn't want to. To cook when I didn't know how. To become a home when I was still searching for one myself. And she taught me to love without conditions, without contracts, without guarantees. Our story doesn't have a movie ending. There was no justice, no redemption, no emotional reunion. There was the choice. I chose to stay, and she chose to trust me, and that in this world is already a miracle. So if you ask me how I made it through all of this, my answer is simple. I didn't do it to save anyone. I did it so I wouldn't lose myself and her, because in the end, when everything falls apart, the only thing that remains is this: the people we choose to stay for.